Well, you know, there's a lot to look forward to with those quarterfinals, a lot to look back on from tonight's game, and I think way more than we were expecting at half-time when it looked like things were pretty much done and dusted for Dortmund, but Monterrey came back and really made a go of it. Steffen Freund's here with us, Raphael Honigstein, and also Shay. We've got loads to talk about. We're going to start off by taking we back to the start of the game. Raphael, you remember when Serhou Guirassy opened it up in such clinical fashion.
Yeah, wonderful finish. Good work from Adeyemi. That was really the pattern to Dortmund's game in the first half. Adeyemi creating chances, Serhou Guirassy taking them in expert fashion. You can see Dortmund putting a lot of people around the box. It's an intricate pass. They're not quite switched on enough. The Monterrey defenders, you can see he's basically alone through goal and then just gives the goalkeeper the eye. Looks towards the far post, but then just puts it into the near one. No chance for the keeper. Great finish. And Dortmund were in complete control, even though they didn't control the ball in terms of possession. Monterrey hardly created any chances, and Dortmund were much more clinical, much more efficient, much more dangerous.
And it wasn't long, Shay, before they'd gone 2-0 up.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fast start from Dortmund. 2 goals within 10 minutes, actually. And the same man again, the superior man of the match, James.
Is that right?
Gets up with the second goal. Yep. But again, we talk about Adeyemi. His pace is unbelievable, isn't it? He's so quick. But what I do like about this goal, I mentioned at half-time, when he has to be calm, when he has to just get the right weight on pass to Guirassy is perfect, you know. But his pace down the wing here is phenomenal, and Monterrey can't deal with that pace. And then again, he has the calmness and awareness to find his strike partner. Where is he? Just a lovely little pass to him, and what a fantastic finish from the big man as well. Great finish, gives the keeper absolutely no chance, James. Beautiful.
Absolutely gorgeous. Well, he had a phenomenal season last time around, made the move across to Borussia Dortmund. It's been a difficult season for them. Did his problems in getting a third goal in that first half, did they presage the wobbles that Dortmund themselves enjoyed further on in the game?
They created 4 good chances first half, and I think if they score the third one, there's another one. As always, Guirassy, so he had a really good game, man of the match, of course, because he scored in the end 2 goals. And I agree, so they're controlling the game and passing the ball in the right moment, creating chances and go back and defend well as a team. So not 100% chances for Monterrey in the first half. Good shots from the long range, but good control from Borussia Dortmund. But at halftime is always an option for every coach in the world to say something, to change something, and Monterrey did.
We'll have a talk about maybe what was said in the Monterrey locker room at half-time, because it certainly did produce a difference in the second half. Right now, though, let's hear from the superior player of the match, Serhou Guirassy, with his thoughts post-game.
Serhou Guirassy, congratulations. Tough game. Talk us through that 90 minutes here.
Sorry again.
Talk us through the 90 minutes. How was it?
It was difficult. It's a good team with experienced player. I think we had a very good first half. Second half was a little bit harder, but the mindset was top, and yeah, we won, so we're all happy tonight.
You scored 2 goals. How good did that feel?
Yeah, it's good. I think I can score maybe 3 goals at least. But yeah, I'm happy. I have the team, and the most important is to win the game.
How tough was it against Monterrey, against such hard players like Sergio Ramos, who played really tough?
Oh, it was a good experience. I like to play against this kind of big player, and it's a great man. He was a top player. He's still good, and we spoke a lot in the pitch. It's a really good guy.
And now you play against Real Madrid. What do you expect?
I expect a very tough game, but I think like Real Madrid, we want to go through, so it will be a tough game, but we'll be prepared.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And he'll be dangerous in that one, no doubt. He'll certainly be the focal point of their attack if today's performance ended to go by. All 6 of Dortmund's shots came from the Guirassy.
Yeah, he was very good. But I think Dortmund going forward look good as a team. You know, he can't create chances himself, but the runs from Adeyemi, the balls through to him. And the second half, even Brandt had a good impact, I felt, looking for him all the time. And he's going to trouble, I think, Real Madrid as well, because they will leave space behind. They will play a high line, I think, and Guirassy and Adeyemi as a team are the perfect players to exploit that. So that is a bit of a warning sign that Real Madrid will really take care to deal with.
Okay. Now, Steffen mentioned what can be said at half-time, and Monterrey came out with a very different performance in the second half, pulling a goal back into the game and really rattling Borussia Dortmund. Was it an inspirational speech? Was it a tactical shift? What was it, Shay?
Well, it does give you an opportunity, as Steffen says, to speak to the players, calm them down. They weren't at their best, Monterrey, first half, but whatever he did say at half-time, there was definitely a response, and you could see, obviously, the early goal really helped them. It lifted the crowd as well, and it was a goal that felt... There was a bit of luck, I think, attached to it. You know, it's a good run down the wing from Corona, stretching the defence, and it's a header by Gregor, who sort of... I think Svensson doesn't realise he's there, actually, and he tries to flick it out for a corner, but a bit of luck that goes onto his head. But it's a fantastic header then for Brett Rami, because you see it from this angle, you know, he hits it back in this corner just where we're sitting with the cameraman sitting beautiful here for the angle on it. It gives, you know, the goalkeeper absolutely no chance. It's a really tucked away header, but what it does do, it gives Monterrey a huge lift in that moment of the game, James. It gives them a real lift, the crowd a lift. And again, I was really impressed with Corona. He was the star man. I know we didn't get man of the match, but for Monterrey, he was pulling the strings. He was a brilliant player. Maybe
if they'd got that equaliser, maybe if they got further, he would have got that recognition of the superior player of the match. We're talking about Monterrey's, the positives that they brought to the second half. But Dortmund, just to put this into context, Dortmund have a history of being very, very strong in the first half of a game and then completely losing that composure in the second. Is that right, Steffen?
Yeah, and you have that. I have that experience as a player. You tune it up, you go at halftime, okay, we're in the game. If we score the third, it's done. But if they score early, and that's happened, then the game can change. And they start to believe, 100% right, Shay, and then they start to play. Agria, the right back, always high up the pitch, creating their first goal. Good crosses. Both fullbacks are going forward. They believe, they're working harder. And then they start to play well and creating chances. We will see later a few to come back really in the game. And that comes down, for me, at halftime, as always, an opportunity. Please believe, and if we score the next one, we are in the game. And it's so many times happened in the past.
And after that, it was all Monterrey for a while.
Yeah. Only 4 chances. Dortmund, nothing, sorry.
No, it's fine. I mean, Dortmund defended well, but they defended quite deep.
Yeah.
And they allowed Monterrey to come forward. In the first half, Dortmund pressed really well and kept them away from their goal. In the second half, that wasn't possible, and they had to do box defending. Gregor Kobel had some good moments. I think by and large the defence did well. But of course, they also got lucky in 1 or 2 situations, which you need as well in a knockout tie.
They played really good balls behind. Good balls behind Dortmund's defense. If they think they can stay a little bit higher, good runs from Corona, Aguirre, the fullbacks, they came close to turn the game.
Yeah, this is the Ramos header right at the death. We said in the green room, I think they'll have one last chance, and it fell to the Ramos. And
he said that.
What a story it would have been if had it. You know, he was trying to be too precise. Actually, the header, he tried to get right in the top corner. And it's just the way the ball sort of bent away from the post, but a big chance at the end for Monterrey.
Another of the old glories departing the competition. Shay. Not sure when we'll see him again.
No, he's had a phenomenal career. We said before the game, you know, a decorated player and.
39, enough is enough. Dortmund today.
Yeah, I suppose,
Sorry,
You never
I'm a German.
But again, you see him hugging their manager at the end. Like, there's huge respect, you know, between the Dortmund players and I think and Ramos and the career he's had.
Yeah, excellent. Well, Dortmund's manager is standing by to give us his thoughts about a victorious performance by his team.
Niko, Kovač, congratulations. A very, very tough game. Talk us through that 90 minutes.
Yeah, as we expected, as I said at the beginning of the game, this is a good team, Monterrey. They played very well in the second half. I think we played very good in the first half. We should score 1 or 2 goals more, and then the game goes better to the end. But in overall, in the second half, we defended very well. It was necessary because they had a lot of pressure, but at the end, they scored once, and I think I didn't see so many chances in the second half of them.
What do you think was the key today for the win?
Yeah, first of all, the first half we played that what we said in the meeting, that what we did also in the trainings. This was very good, but in the second half we dropped. We've been not so aggressive enough, and then we dropped more and more. But in overall, sometimes in this competition, you need to fight also to win the game.
And now you play against Real Madrid. Could be a final as well.
Yeah, but there are for sure some other teams also thinking on that. We are happy. I think we overperformed. We passed the group stage. This is now on top. This is a bonus for us. And now playing against the biggest team and biggest club in the world is for us, for Dortmund, I think a good challenge.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, Borussia Dortmund against Real Madrid could be a final. It was a final 13 months ago. That's and 2-0 it finished to Real Madrid.
Around the corner.
Yeah. Just round the corner. How different do you think it'll be this time around? No Joe Bellingham, of course, for the reunion with his brother.
Yeah, it will be a different game, no question. But I can remember Adeyemi created chances. Füllkrug is not there anymore. A few changes. Unlucky for Bellingham that he can't play. So overall, I think it's definitely a different game. And I'm a little bit surprised that Kovač said already, oh, now if we have nothing to win anymore, so it's done. We are in the quarterfinal. I'm not sure that he was honest. He knows that there's an option to beat maybe one of the best teams in the world.
Wow.
He shouldn't play it down, really, should he, as well? Yeah. He should be playing it up, shouldn't he? Even that message to his players. Yeah. We've done well getting to quarterfinals. And if we go out against them, it's no... It's unambitious. Is that even a word, unambitious? But it should be sending the opposite message. We're in the quarterfinal. We're playing against Real Madrid, one of the favourites. We've got a great chance of getting to the semis.
Maybe the message will be different in the locker room. Certainly
Maybe,
one of the differences to the game around the corner 13 months ago with Real Madrid is the fact that Kovač is now the manager. His impact on Borussia Dortmund has been pretty colossal in terms of results, and the stats are way better in terms of the amount they run, the amount of goals they score. What has he done, and is he the man to finally make them a heavyweight contender in Germany again and beyond?
Well, he found Dortmund in pretty bad shape physically. Under Shay, Dortmund didn't run a lot. Also, training was a little bit too lax. And the discipline that he is famous for, the emphasis on work, on running, all these things are paying benefits. Structurally, he stumbled after a few experiments on a formation that really works, that gives freedom to the attacking players. They don't have to come so far back because you have 5 defensive players out of possession, and that helps the likes of Adeyemi and Guirassy to stay slightly higher, so they're a bit more fresh, a bit more dangerous on the counter. And we saw how they can stretch teams. And overall, I think it just seems to be, as I said before the game, a happier club, a club that is more at ease with itself. You don't quite have as much problems behind the scenes. There is still a possible sort of election challenge to the president, Hans-Joachim Watzke, but you don't have the people above the coach fighting with each other the way that had beginning of the season. The Dortmund made some changes, and Niko Kovač has really stamped his authority on the dressing room, and it's a completely changed Dortmund. Are they good enough to challenge, let's say, Bayern and Leverkusen? I think they're still a little bit short in terms of midfield quality, especially.
Right.
But they're definitely improved.
Okay.
And that's
Leverkusen will have
today.
some changes of their own, with Erik ten Hag taking over in place of Xabi Alonso, who, of course, has gone to Real Madrid, who, look, are going to be the next opponents for Borussia Dortmund.
Oh, look.
Yeah, look. However, we didn't think they were going to get to the Champions League final 13 months ago. Could they go all the way to... Could they get past this quarterfinal with Real Madrid, do you think, Shay?
I think they could. I think, Raf's mentioned the speed and the high line of Real Madrid. It would play into their hands, and maybe Real Madrid might change their game plan defending against this pacey attack. Adeyemi's pace is phenomenal if they play a high line, and we know the fullbacks of Real Madrid like to push forward as well. There's huge spaces down the sides, isn't there? And of course, in the form that the big striker Guirassy's in as well. After tonight, he said himself he was disappointed not to get a hat-trick. He had some brilliant chances, but he'll still be full of confidence going into the Real Madrid game on the back of scoring 2 goals.
Yeah, I think he's on 12 in his last 10.
Also Dortmund under Kovač now are a settled side. They know what they're trying to do. Right. They have found a system. They have found a way of playing. with Real Madrid and Xabi Alonso, you can see that it's still early days and it's going to take a bit more time. So it's a good opportunity for Dortmund to play them now.
OK, much to ponder. We'll talk more about the quarter-final coming up between those two sides and the other matches that'll be on the way on Friday and Saturday. Then we can hear, though, from Paul Robinson, who joined us back at the start of today's show. They're from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Paul, can you hear me a little bit better now?
I can hear you a lot better than I could before the game. My apologies, we really did struggle. It was extremely noisy in here. The PA system's rather loud.
No apology necessary. That's exactly the kind of pre-match buzz we were looking for, and by George, we got it. How do you feel now with the dust settling around you about what you've just seen from Borussia Dortmund and Monterrey?
I thought Dortmund did a job, in all honesty. I think they've not hit their best form in this tournament, but we're talking about a team now that have won 10 of their last 11 games. And I heard you guys talking in the studio about since, when the manager came in, the job that he's done. I think they're 11 points off the Champions League place when he first came in. And you can see now in this tournament, their first result against Fluminense, the draw, and then they really had to dig deep against Mamelodi Sundowns, games that you'd have expected them to win. Only getting one past Ulsan. But now, as the tournament's gone, they've grown as a team. They seem to grow as a unit, and they understand that they're quite comfortable without the ball, which I was impressed with this evening. I think they were quite happy to be hurt at times. The goalkeeper and the defence, they know their job. They play a back five out of possession, and I thought they were defensively resolute. They'll be a tough nut to crack. I don't think they're actually at the level that the manager probably wants them at yet, but I don't think that they're far away. I think he'll be pleased with the way that they've equipped themselves in this tournament.
Excellent. What did you make of Kobel's performance? He was somebody we were discussing at the start of the show. How did he acquit himself?
Say again, James. Sorry, whose performance?
Sorry, the Borussia Dortmund goalkeeper, Kobel. How did you feel about his performance?
I think he's been excellent in this tournament. I think in the opening game against Fluminense, he was called upon numerous times, and I think he's got a good understanding with his defenders. I think it's a good relationship. The one thing that does impress me with him is his depth perception, because at times they play a higher line. You look at the Monterrey forwards tonight, the balls that troubled Dortmund were the ones in behind, and his depth perception, his reading of the game, his reading of the through ball was excellent, and I think them as a defensive unit, and him included in that, they were impressive.
Excellent. The stadium's emptied behind you there, Paul, but it wasn't completely full, but it did sound like there was a pretty banging atmosphere. The Monterrey fans in particular bringing in lots of noise and colour.
Do you know what? It was outstanding. There was, as you say, there was lots of noise, lots of colour, and the atmosphere was phenomenal. I think obviously helped with the pre-game displays and the light displays inside the stadiums. But I was here for the PSG Inter Miami game on Saturday, and that was phenomenal. There was 65,500 here for that game. And again tonight, we weren't sure as what type of crowd to expect. But as you say, there was a lot more. The top tier wasn't open, but I think you're probably pushing 40,000, but they certainly made up for it with the noise. The tournament's certainly grown in strength, and it's the games are getting stronger and a lot more interesting. And again, just to interfere with the noise, the groundsman's got his lawnmower out now, just in case I can't hear you.
Right on cue.
Indeed, sir. All right, well, listen, we'll let you go, Paul. I hope the weather's improved, because it was absolutely pouring down when the game was getting underway, and we did see some lightning storms in the course of the second half. But many, many thanks for that, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the tournament until we speak again. Very good, Paul Robinson.
Congratulations, you're through to the quarterfinals. You have Real Madrid. You made some excellent saves today. How do you assess the team's performance?
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, it was a really good first half. I think in the second half we came out a little bit slow out of the dressing room. I mean, Monterrey, they showed a great second half. A lot of quality. They had a lot of chances, but I think it was a good game from us and an important win as well.
You spoke about that second half. How important is it to stick in there mentally? You know, you're facing a massive attack in Real Madrid now, but that must give you a confidence boost, especially in defence.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we know Real Madrid. We played against them a few times. It's a really good team, a lot of star players. So yeah, it will be a very interesting and also very different and difficult game.
And obviously the quarterfinals this Saturday, but how are you going to celebrate tonight? You have to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, of course. No, it's a great win. I think quarterfinals is always a good achievement, but we want to keep going. We're facing a really strong opponent now, but we will try our best, rest now, and be focused on the next game.
Congrats. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Gregor Kobel there with Shiraz. 6 saves for him.
Yeah.
And he was a key performer.
He was a key performer. We spoke about him before the game, how important he is to this team, Dortmund. And again, he proved his worth tonight. Everything was asked of him. He done brilliantly. Made some important saves at key moments in the game as well. And yeah, he was very impressive once again. And again, looking forward to the Real Madrid game in the quarter-finals.
Yeah, it could be busy.
He could be busy. He'll have to be at his best again.
All right, indeed. So another player we talked about before the match was Jude Bellingham, because everybody has made the move to Borussia Dortmund, following in the footsteps of his big brother. Brilliant start for him there. Today's game didn't go as well. Beyond the fact that he picked up the yellow card, which means that he's suspended for the quarter-final, what else would you say about his performance?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was so bad. His movement behind Adeyemi and Guirassy helped a lot because Rodriguez didn't know where he has to go, the holding midfielder from Monterrey, and they end up with 2 or sometimes 3 against 3. And it was really important to open up the space before the first goal. There was exactly a moment like this, and he was always around, involved. The yellow card didn't help, of course. Then you feel maybe I will pick up another yellow one, or maybe in his head was already, oh, I can't play the quarter-final against my brother.
It's a shame, James, isn't it, for him to miss out against his brother? Because you know for a fact, I think it was 2-0, maybe 1-0 at the time. They were in a good position, Dortmund. And he gets that yellow card. It's pointless as well, you know. And straight away, it's like a moment thinking, I'm going to miss the Real Madrid game. I'm going to miss coming against Bellingham. This is it. Look, and he's not even going anywhere. The Monterrey player's got in the corner. Yes, he gets past him, but I think it might have been a sort of concession of fouls by Dortmund, and it just happened to be Joby that they give a yellow card to. It wasn't a really bad tackle, but just frustrating when he watches that back.
Yeah, you make the wrong decision. In the split of a second, you think he can play the ball, but then I think it was Guirassy a little bit earlier on the ball. And then, of course, there's a yellow card because he's behind him.
Yeah, he should go off him, shouldn't he?
Yeah, Rafa called it the Book of Job. Very nice. the Book of Job. It didn't look like an obvious yellow card, that, particularly with some of the other challenges that went on in the game.
Yeah, but is it tactical foul? Because if you lose that 1-against-1 and he lost that one, he's behind him. And then it's so dangerous for his teammates to defend.
I think Steffen mentioned a good point. He said he should have went with him. He shouldn't have went for the challenge. He should have went all the way with him and seen him out, you know. So he's given the ref probably not much of an option. But again, it's just that we're looking for that fairy tale story of the two brothers in the quarterfinals. I'm afraid we're not going to see it.
Not this time, Shay, but who knows? Who knows? All right, not getting a fairy tale finish either, or a fairy tale story continuing at least. Monterrey, let's hear from another of their players, Oliver Torres.
Commiserations. Today marks the end of your FIFA Club World Cup journey, but you had a brilliant tournament and you represented Mexico so well. How do you assess your entire time here?
Yeah, we know that today we need to make a big effort. We play against a very good team, but if we lose, this is the way, no? I think that we play so good. I think we play like a team. Thanks to the fans, it was amazing. And lose, I don't like lose, but it's life. We need to improve and move on. No?
Perfect, brilliant English. I'm very impressed.
Yeah, thanks.
Excellent stuff. Many thanks to Oliver Torres again with Serhou there. He's another one of that generation going, isn't he? I mean, I'm sure we'll see them along the line. But in this competition, it was one of the treats, I think, of this Club World Cup, seeing players like Ramos, like Torres, Messi turning up in new jerseys, but hopefully pulling off some of the same tricks. Hasn't really worked out for them so far, has it?
If you think overall 32 teams are doing the World Cup, I can't be too negative because we are a part of that and we enjoy the football game. But think about the tradition. Normally was always, at my time, the South American against the Champions League winner. And now we have 32 teams. And think about the future. Think about Man City, Guardiola. Klopp said already there will be a difficult season for most of the players that played that work. There's the other side of all that money and all that good things about the football. For the players, it will be not easy.
Okay. Very good, very good. We will talk more about what the implications are of teams sticking around for the last few rounds of this Club World Cup. We can hear from the commentators a little bit in a little bit of time, but just on the subject of those players who are kind of bowing out from this stage at least, and possibly from football as a whole. Sergio Ramos almost had his moment at the end.
Yeah, I mean, he's so far out, actually, when he gets to that ball, but you know how strong he is, and you know that he's got a thing for important headers in the final minutes of games. So when it comes off him and Kobel is just looking and praying for the ball not to go in, I think we're all thinking this is going in. But Dortmund were fortunate. It just flashes past the upright, and it would have been the perfect way for him to take the game into extra time and be, you know, another huge factor in what was ultimately his last game at this sort of level. But it wasn't to be for him.
Yeah, I was so reminiscent of that Champions League final against their neighbours Atletico Madrid, back when he was a Real Madrid player, with the late equaliser just before the 90, taking it to extra time, and then an absolute hammering for Atleti in what followed. There he is, not looking bad for 39.
He had a great battle, actually, him and Guirassy all night. They were kicking each other, they were fighting with each other, and he just wished he had that last sort of say with that header, but again, it was just too precise, wasn't it? But what a phenomenal career Ramos has had.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we have to mention the quality of the players. Maybe I was a little bit too negative to give them an option again to be the highlight of the big tournament. Yeah. Maybe they deserved it.
Yeah, it's been one of the pleasures of this tournament, I think, so far, among the many. All right, let's see what our commentators this evening, Dan O'Hagan and Rob Green, thought of tonight's proceedings. They're joining us. Guys, we've had a chat about the merits of Borussia Dortmund, the way that Monterrey came back into it, also the slightly shaky performance in that second half, and how much of a concern that must be to Niko Kovač. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that we saw, obviously, that first half, Kovač said, a great first half display from them. But that second half, Rob, you saw how Monterrey came at them, made chances. They're going to face Vinicius Junior, maybe Mbappe next. How concerned should they be about facing Real Madrid in New York in, what, 4 or 5 days' time?
Well, the list of people who can get behind Niklas Süle and Anton is a really long one. And you look at the way that they went about it and the disconnect they had in the second half when their legs started to go. We saw in the first half, when they pressed and they did it as a team, it was really difficult to live with. When they didn't do it as a team and the front three didn't get up in front of Monterrey's faces, didn't press them as high as they could, they had joy. And let's be honest, you know, Jesus Corona is a fantastic player. He is not Kylian Mbappe. He is not Vinicius Junior. He is not Jude Bellingham. These guys will tear them apart if they play like that again and don't do it for 90 minutes. If they do it for like they did for the first 45, they've got a chance. If they do it for only 45, then they could be seeing their way out.
You saw Guirassy in the first half score 2, could have had 4 in the first half alone. He's a kind of striker, he has streaks, and those missed chances against a better team will be expensive.
Yes, absolutely. And you're not going to get 4. I don't think you're going to go against Real Madrid and get 4. And we saw that in the Champions League final against them 13 months ago that James and the guys were talking about. They had their chances in the first half. You saw them and go, we can't play any better than this. We're going to have to take those chances. And that is the key moment. And Guirassy is one of those players that you look at, we said it in commentary, you know when he's going to score and when he's not. And he just doesn't have that self-belief at times. You're thinking, you're going to get 1 chance. You're going to have to make it count. It's going to be critical on Saturday against Real Madrid.
The way they managed the game in the second half, Dortmund, Rob, they made changes. Zabitzer came on into midfield. Do you feel the changes Kovač made at the times he made them impacted the team in the right way well enough?
I think the first one was the interesting one, Joe Bellingham having to go off. He felt like he was really, his head had gone. one of the guys touched on it and said the possibility of the game on Saturday was, and the way it'd been taken away from him was all a bit too much. You could understand why that change was made. It didn't have Sabitzer in the right place at the right time. But Niko Kovač recognised that and made other changes. And eventually, yes, there was a couple of Hail Marys at the end, you know, from Monterrey. But they saw it through. It changed the momentum of the game. So you give him credit for that. He saw it through. I think he's staying positive. I think he'll be really disappointed with that second half display.
So Dortmund will take on Xabi Alonso's Real Madrid in New York. A last point from us, James, that the last team who beat Xabi Alonso back in May was Borussia Dortmund.
Good Lord. Good Lord. I wonder, could it all come full circle this weekend? We shall see. We shall see. The concern that Dan and Rob mentioned there about the way that they were open in the second half and what Real Madrid might do to them. You have to think back to the Mamelodi Sundowns game as well, which saw the South African side put 3 goals past them. And that's an issue that Kovač hasn't been able to resolve for Dortmund so far.
In this competition, you might say, but I don't know if it was slight overconfidence. Dortmund, they were, what, 3-1 up, and they just, I think, got a little bit complacent. And as Gregor Kobel said, maybe being 2-0 up at half-time again, they came out slowly in the second half and allowed Monterrey to come back into the game. I think that kind of sharpness, that kind of focus will not be a problem against Real Madrid. But of course, also the quality of Real Madrid is higher, so they have to really at their very best for 90 minutes. It's not going to be enough for 45.
Excellent. It is a absolutely fascinating clash with or without Joe Bellingham in it. It's one of 4 quarter-final ties.